So welcome to all of you. And I want to just start by introducing what pranayama is and what is prana and why we do it. We've all heard that we should sit and meditate. You know, it's all over the place now. There are meditation apps, and it's in every article that the key to good health is meditation. Well, there's truth to that, but there's also something very important that's missing. Meditation in the practice of yoga sadhana is actually the 6th or 7th step. That's when you start meditation out of the 8 steps of Raja Yoga. It's the 6th or 7th. Prior to meditation, there are preparatory steps that we all need to take. And the 2 that come prior are asana and pranayama. And if you can understand this, there's a very good logic behind this. Asana, because we need to keep our bodies fit, strong, and healthy, not just externally, but internally. All our bodily systems have to be working in harmony and functioning correctly. Otherwise, we can't sit and meditate, correct? And the other is pranayama. And pranayama is essential because it goes to the subtler layers of our existence, of our bodies. It goes to the energetic levels. And it purifies us at the deepest levels, the nadis or the channels that are within us through which energy flows. These become purified. And when the internal body becomes pure, our thoughts and our minds also become calm, quiet, and steady. And then only can we begin a practice of meditation. So you may have started meditating and wondered that, well, I can't meditate more than 5 minutes or 2 minutes. My mind just starts going here and there. Or you say, I've been meditating for years and I don't feel any different as a person. I don't feel any more spiritually connected. I don't feel any more balanced. And this is the reason why we have to start with the proper method. And that's what I'm going to teach you today. So many of you have probably been doing some form of yogasana, and this is the next step in that, pranayama. So can anyone tell me what is the most important, most vital thing to life, to being alive? Yes, she knows because she always comes. She knows that. What did some of you say? Breath and?
I said air.
Air, yes. Okay, so, right, some say, well, we need food to exist. Well, more important than that is water, and more important than water is air or breath. But there's actually something one step beyond breath and air, and that is prana. That is our vital life force. That's essentially at the most subtlest level what keeps us alive. And it's also what causes everything to function in our body, from the blinking of an eye, to the moving of an arm, to our digestive system, to the beating of the heart. All of this is due to prana. And the same way that we have different bodily structures, each of us has different bones and organs, tissues, and cells to some varying degree, we also have pranic levels that differ between us. Some of us have more, and some of us have less. And the yoga scriptures say that the more complete and full we are with pranic energy, the more in tune and in health we are. The longer we live, and there's health and harmony between the body, the mind, and the spirit. And the yogis say that when there is a pranic depletion in us, that is creating a fertile ground for the seeds of illness, disease, and pain. So everything gets rooted back to pranic energy. So when we know that we need to eat healthy and we need to eat more fruits and vegetables, the reason is fruits and vegetables have more pranic energy. When we know that we have to exercise, well, we exercise because we increase our air and oxygen intake. Therefore, there's an increase in pranic energy. When we need fresh air, it's because of pranic energy. When we need more sleep, it's to balance our prana. So at the root of all this is that. Now let's talk about activities that either increase or reduce our pranic energies. For us to be in good health at all times, we need to have full, high amounts of balanced pranic energy within us. And everything that we do will either increase this level of prana or decrease it. Everything that we do. So the things that increase our pranic energy are those that increase our vital life force and that actually make us feel energized, more whole and balanced. So for example, sunlight. Okay, nowadays there's so much media on how you need to protect yourself from the sun and cover up and not let the sun hit your skin. Well, actually, the sunlight gives us prana. And that is sunlight against our skins. And morning sunlight, so at the times of dusk and dawn, those are ideal times to be outdoors. Whole foods are really high in pranic energy. But when I say whole foods, I mean foods that have not been processed in any way or overheated or left outside too long. So these are fruits in their whole natural form, vegetables, certain oils, whole grains. So even dairy products have prana in them, but I shouldn't say dairy products, I should say dairy. So the milk that you get from the cow, when it's fresh, is full of pranic energy. But as soon as we heat it and homogenize it and process it and store it, it becomes devitalized of all its prana. So that's why when a mother gives her milk to a baby, she would never think about putting that milk in a microwave or heating it in any way. So it changes the structure of that prana. What about water? So water has actually shown to remove all negative energy that is within us and around us. So we are all enveloped in energy all the time, otherwise known as auras. We have energy around us and we have energy within us. And this energy is always being transferred. It's going to someone, it's coming in to us. So when we have negative energy that we have taken from our environments or from people, and you can feel this, you experience it because your state of mind has changed, you can actually bathe in water, and water will help get rid of negative energy. That's why people say after they take a shower from being out all day, why do they say they feel fresh? It's not just, the soap cleaning them. It's actually the water that's diluting their negative energy. Same with bathing in a tub. That's why it's so energizing for us, because water has pranic energy. But the second you process this water, it changes. So that's why drinking water, it's become very difficult to find a good source of energized water. Tap water is processed, filtered water is processed, RO water is processed, but the pure water is the water from the springs, right? Who can take their buckets and go to the springs and catch the water? Not very practical. So that is why yogis have found ways to energize the water. And this is through clay pots, that earthen material has prana in it, and through copper vessels and other such metals. So when you store water in a copper vessel, it's not that you're leaching the copper out of the vessel. It's actually that that copper has a way to energize and put pranic energy into the water. And that's why we drink it. And there are other sources. So for example, you can put water in a glass and keep it in the sun. And that will energize your water. Positive thoughts directly impact your pranic energy. So if you feel depleted or low and you just simply have thoughts of love, gratitude, hope, joy, you can even fake it and try to experience the emotion within you, and you will increase your pranic energy. And here's another fact: you can actually increase the pranic energy of another person by thinking and sending those positive thoughts to them. Looking at them is more powerful, but even thinking about another person with positive thoughts helps that person and helps you. But vice versa. You can instantly deplete somebody's energy by being in front of them and thinking negative thoughts about them. you're depleting them and you're depleting you. And that's why we say if you don't have a positive thought about anybody, don't think anything, because we have no right to, we're actually hurting that other person by having negative thoughts. Whether they're in front of us or not, doesn't matter. That person and ourselves. Fresh air is full of pranic energy. So just stepping outside, if you had a meeting, tough meeting at work, and you feel drained and depleted, just step outside for 5 minutes. I used to envy smokers, not because they would smoke, but every 2 hours they would get to go outside and breathe smoke air. But I used to think that I should invent a type of cigarette that had no chemicals in it, but just would allow me to step out and take a few deep breaths. And if you see smokers, when they come back, they're always like so relaxed and much happier. And I wonder, it's probably not the cigarette, but the fact that they got out of their environment and took a few breaths and got some fresh air. I'm not promoting smoking at all. Sounds are incredibly powerful. Sound of Om, there have actually been scientific studies on how the vibrations of Om sound, when chanted, especially audibly, can increase our pranic energy. Not just the sound of Om, but any of the holy names of saints, gods, gurus, they all carry a strong and very positive vibration. And you can chant those audibly or verbally, mentally, for just a few minutes and increase your pranic energy. So now let's talk about what depletes us. And you'll say, well, gosh, that's like everything I do that depletes me of my energy. In fact, I want you guys to tell me. So why don't I get some suggestions, some ideas, some thoughts? What do you think depletes pranic energy? Probably the opposite of the things I just mentioned. Jealousy, negative emotions. Absolutely, number one way to deplete ourselves. Anger. Stress. Now, stress has such a broad meaning, but actually, negative stress and positive stress can deplete our energy. So when I say positive stress, I mean there's a wedding coming up. Maybe it's in your own family, and it's a very exciting time, but what happens is there is an excessive amount of thoughts in the mind. So the thoughts are constantly jumping. The rate of thoughts has increased, and that rate of thoughts, rapid rate of thoughts, decreases our pranic energy. So remember that if you are in a mode of excitement, that can also be depleting, and you'll need to balance that. What else? Shopping, yes. Yes. So have you ever felt that you can walk 2 miles and not feel tired, but you go to the mall for an hour and you come back and you feel incredibly drained? And the first thing you do is, I need to sit down and have a cup of tea or coffee. That's actually your body's response to having been depleted. Why the shopping mall? Because of all the material things that grab our energy. Too much stimulation for the eyes. Not only all the things around us, all the sights and sounds, all the people, so our eyes are constantly darting from one object to another, and our thought process, our thoughts are also racing constantly. So it's not the movement of your body that's making you tired. It's actually being in that kind of environment that's draining. So similarly to the mall and shopping are actually any crowded places, or any place where there's a lot of stuff, including your homes. So if your home is full or cluttered, this will deplete the pranic energy of every person in the house, even your children. So it's very important that you declutter. And yes, you can start by stuffing everything into your cabinets, but that material thing is still there and it's absorbing pranic energy. So the best thing is to clean out and have as less as possible. Keep for some time and then give away. And it's very good that twice a year, if you adopt a family habit, we call it like closet clean out day or house clean out day, 2 times a year. All Indians do it on Diwali time, but you can do it again in spring and just have the whole family go through their items and toss out everything that you haven't used in 6 months to a year, including your clothing. You'll actually feel a difference. You will feel lighter when you do this, because objects absorb pranic energy and they interfere with us building up our own. What else?
Multitasking.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Such a depletion of pranic energy. If you want to increase your productivity at work, then focus on one item. Close the door, turn off your chat and the dings and your phones for a certain amount of time, and just say, I'm going to focus on this for just 30 minutes or 1 hour. Multitasking actually is so much of a pranic depletion, and we oftentimes won't even know what's happening to us and why we have increased tension, increased anxiety, insomnia, and other neurological symptoms. That's just the beginning of it until it grows from there. So multitasking, focus on one thing at a time. In fact, if we can develop habits of having times for screens, like times for your phone. So you come home and you put your phone on the charge and you can check it once or twice in the evening, but don't have it constantly next to you. Because the phones are actually our constant source of depleting energy. What else? Processed food, yes. Anything processed. Anything in the microwave will instantly kill prana, instantly. So if you take water and you think you're just heating it up to make tea, you're now having dead water. Or if you made fresh food in the morning, now you take it to work and you put it in the microwave, it doesn't matter how healthy the meal was that you cooked. You're now eating dead food. You're getting no vitalization from that food. Doesn't matter what it is. So I would say if you can eat it at room temperature, that's fine. Or you can buy these hot pots or thermoses and heat your food at home on the stovetop. Even if it's left over, it's okay from the night before. Heat it on the stovetop, put it into your thermos, and then take it to work and eat it warm. I would advise, if you can reduce the microwave, you can, in fact, if you can work to just getting rid of it altogether. Violent and action movies. So there's all these Netflix shows now, and when do we get time to watch TV? Around 8 or 9 o'clock at night. So we put on Game of Thrones or all these very stimulating serials, and those images actually impact our brains while we're sleeping, and they interfere with sound, deep, and restful sleep. So minimize, okay, I'm not saying don't ever watch Game of Thrones, but minimize it, especially at night before sleeping. And in fact, even the news, it's better to read. You know, go back to the old ways of reading the newspaper, because you can choose what you want to read and when you want to stop reading. Commercials, advertisements, even on the radio, the ads that come, just hit mute when the commercials come on. Because even if we're not paying attention, they're making a subtle impact on our minds and our brains, and especially those of your children. All work and no play. So constantly moving around. You wake up in the morning, you're on the go, and in the night when you finally get to sit down, you're turning on these shows or your internet, your work email, or your phones. So what happens is you're having constant depletion. You're not having any time to recharge yourself, and you do this day after day after day. So what ends up happening? The closest analogy I can think of is like a battery. The prana is like a battery, and we need to take time to charge that battery. Otherwise, it will run out of energy, and you will run out. And what happens is it creates the seeds for pain, illness, and disease. So when you go to the doctor today and he tells you you have diabetes or some other hormonal issue, it didn't start yesterday or a month ago. It actually started 5 years or even 10 years ago, when your pranic energy started depleting and you not recognizing it and doing the things to balance that. So what we're going to learn in this class is the most effective way to balance your pranic energy. 15 minutes of pranayama per day, will give you all the prana that you need to counter effect your loss of prana all day long. That is how powerful this technique is. It is life-changing, and you will experience and feel the difference after just one class, and you'll see the changes in your life, mentally, physically in your body, and spiritually, every single day. What I want to teach you is how to recognize when you are feeling that depletion. Because when you're always depleted, you don't even know it until suddenly there's a problem. But when you do these exercises, you will experience how it feels like, mentally and physically, to be full of prana. You will feel joy, peace, contentment, and physically relaxed and mentally so calm and peaceful. And when you're in that mode, and suddenly something happens to deplete you, you will recognize it right away. Example, you do 15 minutes of pranayama, you're feeling nice, you come out, and now you scream or yell at a child or a spouse or somebody who's done something to upset you. Right after that emotion, you'll say, oh my gosh, I see the shift happening in my body. I feel the shift in my mind, and I'm not comfortable with this. Therefore, I'm not going to raise my voice. I'm not even going to get angry. I'm simply going to state what it is that I need and that I want, and move on. That's the change that takes place. Wanybody have questions before we start? Yes, Arlene?
Did you say, I wasn't sure I heard you correctly, did you say that you wanted to yell at someone, or you did yell at someone in that little?
If you did.
You did it, okay.
If you did, yeah, you'll feel
That's
the
what I thought, okay.
change. Okay, so here are the guidelines, and this is being recorded, so you'll be reminded of this. Whenever you're doing pranayama, you can sit in any comfortable position, but the spine should be straight. So this means if you're at home and you need to take the support of a wall, it's perfectly fine, but put a pillow between your lower back and the wall so that the spine stays straight. Similarly, if you're in a chair, sit in the chair against a cushion and put your feet flat on the floor. Other than that, as long as the spine is straight, you can sit in any position that you want, and you can switch positions in between. So it doesn't mean that you're sitting and now your knees hurt, but you're afraid to move because you're going to imbalance your prana. Nothing like that. Okay? You always want to be comfortable because you don't want your thoughts going into your body. All the focus and energy is going to be on our breath. Okay? So don't sit in discomfort. Move as you need to. You should practice in a place where there's no distractions. So especially as a beginner, when you start doing this pranayama and you start to hear that silence around you and within your mind, if somebody comes out or there's a loud sound that happens, it will create a negative emotion. You'll get disturbed by it. So you want to be in a place without distraction. That means the phone should not even be anywhere near you, but they should be in another room. Empty your stomach. What happens during pranayama is that there is a deep abdominal massage that happens. And it is actually a cure for many abdominal ailments. But because of that, you don't want to have food at least 2 to 3 hours before. Similarly, caffeine and sugar directly impact our nervous system. And you'll not have the impact of your pranayama if there's caffeine or sugar in your bloodstream. So I would say 4 hours after coffee or sugar. It's really good to loosen up the body before you sit down. What happens is doing a few rounds of sun salutation or Surya Namaskar clears any blockages in the body, just makes us a little bit looser and allows us to sit for a longer period of time. So that's a good practice. Not necessary, but very helpful. We are going to be doing some cooling exercises. These are not to be done so much during winter and a little bit more so during summer. Also, if you're ever having a cold or a fever, then you don't want to practice pranayama. Kapalbhati is the first exercise we're going to do, and it's contraindicated for high blood pressure. So skip if you have hypertension. After pranayama, you're going to have built this very nourishing supply of pranic energy. So you want to be careful for 30 minutes that you don't do something that's going to immediately deplete it. Talking too much at any tone of voice, talking too much will deplete your pranic energy. Taking a hot shower afterwards, or eating right away, or even exercising right away. So just 30 minutes, you can do anything else, but avoid those. And after 30 minutes, you'll start feeling the difference in your bodies. And most importantly, try to observe after your practice for 15 to 30 minutes. Observe the shift, the change in your physical body, your nervous system, at a mental level, an emotional level, and a spiritual level. Just observe that.